You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Make yourself famous. A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. OTM Kyle Gagliardi, and my co-host is my good friend Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Tucky.
Oh, yeah. What's up, Kyle? How are you?
I am doing well, man. I'm not as busy as you are, but, can't complain. It's nice to just be the two of us here, the OG duo of OTM going at it.
The boys are back in town, baby. You loved it.
What's going on?
Plenty to talk about, too. Hearkening to your Tucky call, I got to see Otis fight on Sunday in a meat fest against Bronson Reed.
Oh, how was that? How was the show overall in your experience? Tell us a little bit about it.
It was fun. Brand new Tahoe Blue Event Center. A second event run in the building. So great seats, cool place. Let's see. Number of matches. We had Cody Rhodes versus JD McDonough in a street fight.
Oh, that had to be fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Table spot, kendo sticks, nothing too much, but they love the table. Charlotte versus Io.
Ooh, for a house show, that's impressive.
It was for the women's heavyweight title, Seth Rollins versus The Miz for the title.
Yeah.
We had Nia Jax versus Zoe Stark.
You can't win them all, I guess.
New Day and Chad Gable versus Imperium.
Interesting pairing. Okay.
Yeah. And Imperium lost. So there's that. But know how house shows, they're funny and playful, and Chad Gable's twerking in the middle of the ring, and then, come on. But it was fun.
That's what's cool about the house shows is that, in a way, I think they do try things there to see, if it might translate over the TV in a couple weeks. So you never know. Maybe that's a 6-man we'll see in the future.
They had Bianca, Charlotte, and Io billed as a triple threat, but Bianca wasn't there. LA Knight faced Austin Theory as well, so that was awesome. Got the main event Jey Uso shirt, LA Knight shirt, signed LA Knight promo, and a signed Cody poster, 11x14. Nice. So it was a good evening. It was a lot of fun and celebrating a PR in the half marathon I ran in San Jose that morning.
Yes, boy.
We'll take it. I wore my Yes Boy shirt to the show because I didn't want to take it off. So it was a great weekend.
You're feeling yourself. I love it. We got a lot to talk about, like you said. We had NXT No Mercy on Saturday, AEW Wrestledream Sunday. We're not going to touch on it, but a few interesting things happened on Monday Night Raw as well. But if you want to hear a little bit more about Monday Night Raw, our friend Robbie Collins at the Main Event Wrestling Network has you covered this week. He just released his very first This Week in Wrestling video. I think he plans on doing this weekly. So he's just kind of going to dive in, go from show to show in the WWE. We are a part of the Main Event Wrestling Network. If you didn't already know, myself being the founder, formerly Overtime Sports Network, which you might have heard that plug in the past, but you can follow the Main Event Wrestling Network on all social media platforms at mainevent_net. And of course, Tuck, we got a sale going on this week, just like we did last week. There's main event merch on the Mark Wrestling Podcast.com. Also, the t-shirt that I'm wearing. I felt it was very appropriate to be wearing the Bryan Danielson appreciation shirt after the match he had against Zack Sabre Jr., which we're definitely going to touch on. But we got some other things on there. Tuck, you want to tell them a little bit about what they can grab? Fall's coming up.
Hoodies, a great option. If if you run hot, maybe you're a crop top kind of kid. I don't know. Coffee mug, sure. Honorary Mark shirt, sure. Banger after banger after banger shirt, sure. We got it. We got it. We have options. We have things. Logo. It's great. Okay. Take advantage of the sale again, and every dime, every dollar is in support of the podcast. We appreciate it.
That's right. And if you use code Fastlane this weekend, you will save 10% off your order. We're going to talk about Fastlane, but we're going to save that for the end of the podcast. I say we start with AEW Wrestledream, then we can kind of finish the show with all WWE talk. How does that sound?
That'll work.
All right, man, let's get into it. We're not going to get into everything. You know, there's a lot to talk about, but we're going to hit on some of the big things, like Chris Statlander retaining her TBS title against Julia Hart. It's like, I wouldn't say I was surprised at how good this match was. I just think it exceeded expectations a little bit. I don't know if that's because I'm not really a big Chris Statlander guy and more of a Julia Hart, fan. I thought Julia Hart probably should have won, but I guess we can't be mad getting a good quality women's match out of AEW.
Well, correct. I agree with you on that. That great women's matches are not a dime a dozen with AEW. Or in that same clip rate or ratio. But my view going into this match was like, this needed to be a statement match for Chris Statlander, win or lose. What an opportunity to establish yourself as a kind of a work rate, a little higher work rate, a little more technical. And again, like Julia Hart was like 23-0, like this year. They've put a lot of stock into her. And so I think it adds credibility to Statlander's run. And I don't know that I ever thought I would say that about Julia Hart, which is great.
It is great. And I think Julia Hart's only 21 years old. So obviously there is plenty of time for her to get the rocket strapped to her. But you could definitely tell just with the presentation recently on AEW television, especially Collision, she seems to be getting a bit of a rub over there. I, for one, don't want this feud to end. I think they kind of left the door open in a way because maybe it wasn't such a convincing win. Is this something you would like to see again, or you think they're just going to move on to the next challenger for Statlander?
No, I run it back because there's rumors of another a December AEW pay-per-view now too.
Do they know what that's called?
No, but there have been rumblings based on the success of Wrestledream as a show, not as an attendance piece. Less than 7,000 in attendance.
And what did that venue hold? Do you know?
What's that?
Do you know what the venue held capacity was?
Last time they were there for Dynamite, it was over 9,000.
Okay, so they have pulled a better number than they did at AEW Wrestledream, but maybe it was just the fact that we've never seen a Wrestledream before, and really people didn't know what to fully expect out of it.
Yeah, and weird. Yeah, just, hey, we're going to have another pay-per-view in a month, and it, again, felt like they scrambled to put a really good card together, and then they did. So AEW kind of pisses me off in that regard. Where, like I'm such a story guy, but you have to watch AEW because there are good matches, and it's not that they don't do any storytelling. I like those long plays, and like WWE on the creative end with the Easter eggs and the callbacks, and like the WWE is better at building hype, I think, in my opinion.
And I think from our viewpoint, we're big story guys. I think we've said that numerous times on the show. That goes back to our original fandom being strictly WWE, and that's really what they hone in on, like what you're saying. But I will say this about AEW, even though maybe the build and stories aren't as strong at times, I feel like every pay-per-view is justified for the $50. Now, granted, not everybody is going out there and spending the $50. I, for one, am. I like wrestling, so I'm going to spend money on the things I like, and I really don't need to save that $50. But I think every pay-per-view delivers. And as a whole, it delivered here for Wrestledream, as we're going to get into some more matches. But maybe it's just me being a Julia Hart mark. I'm not happy that she lost, but I think she'll be okay, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, she is 21. Birthday coming up a week before mine, November 8th. She's turning 22.
That's crazy that she's almost a decade younger than me, and definitely a decade younger than you. I remember when Yeah, so you're a couple years older than me, pal. It might not look like it.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
But you just want to put that on the record. The people watching on YouTube, if they want to, question, Tuck is the older one here. But
getting bodied on a pre-record here.
And then nobody's saying this right now.
I don't have the comments to defend me. On Twitter, you can, though. That's at Pot on the Mark. Defend my honor, please. Thank you.
So last week's episode, I of course tuned in. I wasn't able to make it. I saw you gave the MVM to Kind, but there seemed to be some tension between Ian and him. That was pretty interesting, huh?
The chemistry between those two, I tell you what, is so hot and cold. They'll have the exact same take, and Ian will flip just to be a heel. He'll avail you. So they're unpredictable, that duo. I do think the bridge has been burned. I think Kind knows he deserves better, and Ian knows he doesn't deserve a guy like Kind, so he masks his insecurity and healed him, and that's not how it works.
Might have been bad karma too, because as we know now, Ian is no longer AEW champion. That went to first-time champion, tag team champion now, Erica Marini, finally winning. Yeah, let's clap it up for Erica finally getting a share. There it is, of the AEW title. And she's sharing that with Ryan Vogus, of course. And then Ian loses the NXT title to yours truly. So, suck it, Ian.
For Erica, what a way to start her run. Gets her foot in the door with a tag title. Gets her the taste of gold, right? I like the feeling, taste of gold, and I wouldn't be shocked if this is the shortest title reign ever, because it's Erica Marini. So we'll see.
But hey, I mean, yeah, if AEW keeps adding pay-per-views, she's going to have to defend it more often. But, we'll see. The King and Queen are AEW champions. But let's move on here to the 4-team number one contender match, where the Young Bucks became number one contenders after defeating the 3 other squads. It looks like we are now going to be getting FTR versus the Bucks Part 4. So my question to you is, how do you feel about the Young Bucks once again getting a title shot at the titles while already being Ring of Honor Trios champions? I feel like that's a little too much for me personally.
I thought it was a missed opportunity. In my head, again, this is how Vogus got to share the strap. He was the only one that took the Young Bucks. Of all the picks, all the money was going towards the Guns. Robbie Collins picked Orange Cassidy and Hook, but I thought the Young Bucks were the least compelling ones. And Young Bucks and FTR would be a great match, sure, but we're going back again already.
It seems too soon to me. I mean, I feel like we could get to Part 4 eventually. I mean, both these teams aren't going anywhere. We know that they're going to be AEW to the end probably, but I always sound like a Young Bucks hater, and maybe I am at this point. I just don't need to see them in the title picture anymore. You look at their buddies, Kenny Omega. Dude can't catch a break right now. He ain't winning. Look at Hangman Page. He just lost. But the Young Bucks always seem to get the edge. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater, like I said. But like you were saying, I think it'll be a good match regardless. The funny thing, too, behind Vogus's pick, he informed us that he thought this was just for the titles. He didn't know this was a number one contendership matchup.
Yep. Yeah.
And that just shows you how much Vogus is locked into AEW. But he obviously knows what he's talking about. Yep. He's the champ, right? Mm-hmm. So anything else you'd like to add about the Young Bucks winning? You could move on.
No, it was a good multi-tag match, 4 stars, just solid. I won't remember it, and it's not going to be a match of the year candidate. Let's go.
Yeah. Right. Speaking of not remembering matches, I left the first 2 matches of the pay-per-view off of the show sheet. It got off to a bad start, in my opinion. We finished the Eddie Kingston versus Shibata match. I've seen too many chop matches with Eddie Kingston. They all become the same to me. I'm just not feeling those 2, so I figured, hey, let's just move past it and talk about the good stuff, because overall it was a good show,
Yeah, most people went with the Righteous against MJF. 3 chose MJF, and yeah, makes sense.
I guess. I don't know. With Adam Cole being out for a while, you figured they'd take the tag titles off him, right?
That was my thought. Like, okay, just have him get beat, whatever. But here we are.
I think it also kind of ruins the Righteous a little bit. You know, they started to get those vignettes. They were shown on TV the last couple of weeks, and you're losing to just one guy. Granted, the AEW World Champion. I don't think it makes your tag team division look that strong, in my opinion.
Especially not that tag team. Nope.
Yeah, a little Wyatt family adjace, I guess you could say about the Righteous. I'm sure you got that vibe.
Oh yeah, some energy there.
Yeah, it's not like full Wyatt family, but you can see that there's definitely some influences there. But let's move into what might have been my favorite match of the night, and maybe it was just because Strickland got probably the biggest win, and it was in his hometown. Hangman Adam Page. The match itself was fantastic, and I truly believe that these two guys are probably some of the best talents AEW has to offer, and it seems like Swerve might have a rocket strapped to his back. I mean, getting a win over a former world heavyweight champion is a big deal.
Oh yeah, Tony is picking up what the crowd's putting down. The crowd is getting behind Swerve Strickland. You cannot deny it, and this was a great match. I think I was more satisfied with Hangman's effort in this match. I don't really remember like an Adam Page like 5-star banger killer match.
Him with Danielson in that Texas death match, I believe it was earlier this year.
That was real.
But that's just one.
Right. But that's just one. And so throw this one right at the top of that list.
And Swerve, man, he must be hitting the gym or something. And maybe it's the influence of Prince Nana doing the little dance on this. I love everything that Prince Nana provides to Swerve Strickland.
Well, and
I don't know if you've been paying attention.
The use of the crown. I mean, we can call back to this one. We can run it back.
I definitely think you could. How about here's a throwback for the OTM listeners. Remember, what was it? Probably 3 years ago. My hot take was that Swerve Strickland would become NXT champion. You fast forward here to 2023, I actually think there's a realistic chance that we could see Swerve become AEW World Heavyweight Champion. I feel like he's getting that big of a push right now.
In what time period?
I wouldn't say this year, but I think down the road, maybe late 2024. I mean, getting a win on this show is huge for him.
Mm-hmm. And you said you thought he would win gold that year, and then things happened. Some changes happened. It wasn't like he blew his prospects. He just, here he is, actualizing the potential we saw.
Yeah. And the vibe too, with Hangman getting booed, we obviously know he's a babyface. It kind of felt like, and I'm blanking on what show it was, but it was an ECW. It might've been one night stand where John Cena took on Rob Van Dam for the WWE title. And it was just like his home crowd. And it didn't matter that John Cena was the babyface. He was just getting booed out the building. It was a weird vibe, but it was cool, I thought.
If Cena wins, we riot.
Mm-hmm. If Page wins, we riot. I'm surprised we didn't see that sign there.
Yeah.
I do like the sign. I don't know if you noticed it. They said Eddie Kingston's still a bum. I enjoyed that sign.
Oh, Erica was throwing tomatoes at her TV so hard.
I'll tell you what, she probably was early in the show, but once she started to realize she was going to walk away with the strap, I'm sure her attitude changed a bit. Flaunting that shit.
Ciampa.
Yeah, which by the way, I obviously people don't know this. We have a group chat, and I totally forgot that Tucky was at the house show, and we started fully talking about AEW Wrestledream, and Tuck left the group chat.
You can let me back in.
You are back in. Don't worry.
Am I? I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know.
We just haven't said a word. I was like, oh shit. We literally talked about it early in the day. But I get into my wrestling mode. There's no stopping me.
Nothing was really spoiled to that point, but I was like, I don't want to know. So.
And then I texted you on the side, and then you didn't respond. And I was like, yeah, Tuck hates me. We're not going to be recording this week.
Oh no, I was on my way to getting hammered.
No,
like
that's
7 or 8 beers. Like
any house show lemonades.
Tahoe Tag Team was what it was called.
Oh, I like it.
You want me to give you? Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I'm actually interested.
I took a picture of it. I was hoping they were going to do some Rumble lemonades. That was not an option, but Tahoe Blue Vodka, Gin, triple sec, cranberry juice, rum, tequila, sweet and sour mix, grapefruit juice, garnished with a lime wedge.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there's some shit. Only $12. I'll take.
Oh, that ain't bad.
No.
Is that just because it's a house show, probably?
Yeah, I don't know. Beers were 12. I was like, okay, I don't want to. I'm all right at $12, which is still crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Because where was I just recently? I was at some venue and beers for like $8, and I was like, oh, that's a steal, which is sad because you can
you're
get
like,
it back somewhere else for $6 or something. I don't know the exact price. I just sell liquor and wine. That's it. Let's move on over to one of the most anticipated matchups maybe of the past few years between Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. And Bryan obviously was able to defeat Zack Sabre in what was, I would say, a technical match. Now, was this a match of the year candidate to you personally?
No.
I agree. And I want to hear your explanation because I know there's going to be people out there that say this is the match of the year.
To me, I never thought Zack Sabre Jr. had a chance. So, like, in my head, it was an orchestrated song and dance to get to a Danielson W. And every match of the year candidate has moments where I don't know. And there was
a little bit of a struggle too.
In my opinion. Yeah. Was it a technical showcase? Absolutely. But the reason I'm not really considering it for match of the year was no story, and the picks indicate it was just a Danielson lock.
Yeah, but I don't want to sell it short because trust me, I agree with you. It's not a match of the year candidate for me personally, but it might be the best technical match I've ever seen. Now, I typically am not locked in with the technical style. It goes back to times where I even talked about Timothy Thatcher in NXT on this show and how he wasn't my cup of tea. But I'll tell you what, those two, you couldn't keep your eyes off of them because there's just so many unique holds. It was very intense. And then you wasn't John Moxley on commentary for this match as well?
I think so, yeah.
And did you get to hear any of his commentary because he was a loose chain?
Oh, yeah. He was fully taking privilege of the pay-per-view side of it. Even during 0 Hour when it was not on pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think it was on YouTube. For 0 Hour, so
and they're like,
I'm sure he actually did get fined.
Yeah,
I think he made a comment about getting fined and all that. But no, it was a fantastic match. I think it lived up to the hype. What about you?
Yeah, me too. It was great, but the match of the year is going to have more layers to the onion, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's people listening that are going to sit here and say it was the match of the year, but maybe they look at wrestling more from a technical standpoint. And if that's the case,
if we had best technical wrestling match of the year as an OTME, I think that's a race of one at this moment, but we don't. And it isn't.
We don't. Which, by the way, if you don't know about the OTMEs, we are fastly approaching those. We do them every December. It will be our 3rd annual OTME. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, sir.
This December for 2023. It's where we have our listeners and people that follow us vote on certain categories that we give out. We're going to do some TikToks and all that good stuff. It's a fun time. But yeah, this match between Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. was fantastic.
Should we do have we ever done a fan vote for the OTMEs?
Isn't that what we typically do?
I have no idea. It was a year ago.
I think it is. Yeah, I think that is what we do. Me, you, and Ian will, name the 4 options. Yeah, candidates, that's the word. And then they vote on it. That's how we usually
do
it.
Make sure you visit TikTok at Pot on the Mark for those nomination videos that Gags did. And he will 100% be doing this year again.
The nominees are
your nominees. I love it.
For Male Wrestler of the Year, which is going to be an interesting category. I can't wait to dive into that. I don't even think Roman Reigns should be nominated. That might be a hot take.
Not a hot take.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Well, I guess we'll talk about that in a couple months. But let's talk about another match that happened at AEW Wrestledream where the Don Callis family keeps their momentum going, getting a win over Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega. and Ibushi. And I was worried for whoever had to follow Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. because the crowd was into it, and obviously it was great. But I thought this match was a ton of fun. And as Tony Khan would say, Tuck, it was justified. This is awesome chants throughout this entire match.
I mean, all the chants are justified.
You noticed this then too, that he always says that.
Yes, he's crazy. Whatever. Public money 5-3 on the Don Callis family for this one. Takeshita, white hot. Sammy Guevara heating up. Will Ospreay. What a good match. Just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think the story as a whole with the Don Callis family, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega has been really good. It was fun getting to see Ospreay too interact with Chris Jericho, interact, of course, with Kenny Omega, who they obviously have history with. But it seems as if Kenny has been stacking up a lot of losses as of late, which is kind of surprising because when I went into this match, at least with my prediction, I don't know what yours was, I went with the faces just because I thought Kenny Omega had to get one on the Don Callis family. But Takeshita not only, I think, has 2 singles wins now, he also has this tag win here. I mean, they're really strapping the rocket to the Don Callis family.
Call Takeshita daddy because he is the one right now. I went with the Don Callis family just because I thought the young dynamic trio over Jericho and Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, that's something.
Right.
But I thought put him on the 3 young lions,
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And obviously, I don't think the feud is over at all between these guys. So we'll see how it progresses as we go on. Let's talk about the main event here, and then we'll wrap things up with AEW Wrestledream. In the main event, we saw Christian Cage retain his TNT title by defeating Darby Allin in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. And obviously, there is a lot to unpack in this one in the match, or what happened after. But Christian working heel, even in this match specifically, was just perfect. Doing whatever it takes to win. Even had a few interactions with Nick Wayne's mom, who was ringside. We just talked about how sometimes the storytelling with AEW isn't that great, but I really like whatever's going on with Christian Cage because whatever surrounds him, it all makes a lot of sense.
Well, and what a way for him to become to be compelling. He's far more compelling to me in AEW than what I remember from WWE. Because my only interaction with Christian was middle school era, TLC matches and stuff like that. But it was never Christian for me. It was always Edge. And then Christian was his Robin,
Yeah.
And so he's just more compelling to me now. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about the finish. Christian obviously spears the ref. Nick Wayne does his run in, takes the belt away from him, and that leads to the standoff with Darby and Nick against Christian. But out of nowhere, Nick Wayne, 8-year-old Nick Wayne, levels Darby Allin with the belt as his mom looks on with complete shock, and the ref recovers in time, obviously, to make the count and declare Christian Cage the winner. So before we get to what happened after this match, the Nick Wayne heel turn, I like it. What about you?
Justifies the squash in the pre-show, got slapped. And now this is something I'm interested in, right? This new already, what the hell's going to go on with this Nick Wayne kid? He's got a pair on him to already turn on Darby Allin. So there's a lot of layers there. If that was where the show ended, it would have been okay.
Right.
Okay, there's some direction that we're going to go from here. It's not even the main title picture, but what a great use of Wrestledream in the way that WWE has sometimes used a really good B-level show like Elimination Chamber, something like that, to continue compelling storylines. If it would have ended there, it would have been a great show.
Yeah, I think the heel turn itself makes a lot of sense. Just with the, Christian Cage character right now and the involvement of Nick Wayne's mom too, and that Nick Wayne obviously doesn't have his father, who unfortunately passed away years ago. So I guess Christian is now like stepdad in this situation. I think there's going to be some good shit coming from the pairing. Or I should say, I guess the trio of Luchasaurus, Christian, and Nick Wayne.
And there's another way to put the rocket on Nick Wayne. Have him go over Christian in 3 years or something. Like, I don't know.
Your first real feud in AEW is involving Christian Cage. Mm-hmm. I'd say he's doing pretty well for himself.
It ain't bad.
It's not just Christian Cage, though, obviously, because after the match, after the turn, I should say, Nick Wayne, Christian, Luchasaurus were all beating down Darby until the lights went out. For a second there, I thought, oh, yeah, you know, it's going to be Sting. But we already saw Sting. You know, Sting was already out there. And then we see this video package of someone riding around Seattle in a black jacket. And then we hear, you think you know him. And just like that, Adam Copeland is officially All Elite. Now, this obviously was something that was rumored. There was a lot of talks going on with Edge's contract situation with the WWE. Seems like things ended peacefully. He comes in for the save here. Looks like his first feud's going to be involving him and Christian. Talk about a major moment in AEW history. Talk getting a guy like Adam Copeland on your roster, essentially replacing him for CM Punk. That's a massive win for All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm like, not Edge. I thought he was WWE for life. But it makes it a whole lot more interesting between the two companies. And I think can you be mad at Edge? No, go get your bag, do you? But I think this, the doorway between the two is not as hot or long or treacherous. You know, Cody and Jade going one way, Christian, that's probably the biggest get. Or Edge, or Adam Copeland, sorry. Christian was a big get, you know, Jericho cool, but Jericho, the dude was done with WWE, was in WWE a month ago, you know.
Right. It was a very quick turnaround. And even guys like Mark Henry and Big Show just going to a backstage, role with AEW was surprising in itself. There's a lot of people that we sit there and we were like, oh, wow, I thought he was a WWE lifer. But we're now living in this interesting world of professional wrestling in 2023 where, in a way, this is kind of like a trade. Obviously, it wasn't an official trade, but like you said, Jay Cargill going on over to the WWE is like getting a top prospect, the number one prospect in the MLB, and you're trading away a Miguel Cabrera or an Albert Pujols in the back end of their career. Still very good. I'm not taking anything away from Adam Cole because I still think, or Adam Copeland, there's a lot of Adams in AEW, but I still think that Adam has a lot to do here in All Elite Wrestling. But if you look at it from the WWE's perspective, it seemed like they were content with letting Edge go. Do you think that's a big miss for the WWE, kind of just ending things like they did on SmackDown, or you think they kind of got what they needed out of Edge?
Maybe it was a move out of respect. Like we don't have something for you at the level that AEW could give him. Maybe AEW is a little more willing to give him a bigger program, and WWE didn't want to thrust him into the title scene or something like that. Yeah. So it could have been like, hey, take care of yourself, or here's our offer. If it's not good enough, we're not really going to budge. Maybe.
You really can't blame Edge. I'm going to keep calling him Edge. He's always going to be Edge to all of us, but you got to look at it from his perspective. And he even said this in his press conference that he is willing and wanting to work a full-time schedule. He wants to face off against people that he's never got the opportunity to. He even said he's never gotten a chance to step foot into a ring with Sting. That all changed on night one. And he also, by the way, his best friend Christian, like we talked about, is in the company. And if you remember from, past interactions on Twitter and social media and things we've seen, he and FTR have a tight relationship as well. And FTR are kind of a big deal in AEW. So for me personally, Tuck, I have no issue with this. It seems like there's still going to be some salty WWE only fans about it, but at the end of the day, I think we all win. No, not only fans.
Oh, yeah, we all win. I'm excited.
So obviously, Christian's the first feud. You think eventually they're going to have to tag team those two?
Yeah, probably. I'm here for it. This was spoiled for me. Like that, this was an unavoidable spoiler. Like, so there was no way I was going to hide from it. No matter how far away I got from Twitter, but so that kind of made it a little damp for me. But I enjoyed watching it. Thought it was cool. I'm interested to see how it goes.
Me too. And best of luck to Adam Copeland in AEW. I think having him around every week is only going to benefit the entire roster of AEW. But as a whole, Wrestledream, give me your grade. What do you think?
88.
Okay. I'm at like an A minus 92. And I think it's based off of expectations going into it because I really wasn't expecting much.
Some of those are the highest scores, you know.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't let that influence my grade, but I just think after the first two matches, everything delivered, and we actually are seeing stories that are going to progress, like the Christian Cage, Adam Copeland, Nick Wayne, all that. Once again, Nick Wayne's first feud, being Edge and Christian involved, is just still crazy to me. I can't wrap my head around that, so good for him, I guess.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch the documentary of him when, you know, in 15 years or whatever, but. Speaking of documentaries, have you watched Wrestlers on Netflix yet?
I have. I've watched it all.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool peek behind the curtain. Did you end up doing what I did and then just end up checking up all these wrestlers on social media just to see how they're doing?
Oh yeah, same way I did with Monster Factory on Apple TV. You know, you just keep an eye on them.
Monster Factory. Why am I blanking on what that is?
That's another documentary like Wrestlers. Do you have Apple TV?
I do not.
$6 a month.
Dude, I already pay for so much stuff a month.
They'll probably give you a free trial. And
I actually think I might be on it. I think, honestly, I was on it before the MLB season. I think I did a trial to watch the Cardinals one time, and then I didn't watch the Cardinals the last 3 months of the season.
Yeah, well, check in on it. That one's cool, too. That's like a wrestling school, you know. You see a little bit more of the school side of it, but that like Monster Factory's got a ton of people signed. Like Batista, some guys like that, Orton maybe, a lot of guys train there.
From the OVW days, or was that something different?
No, I think they like Monster Factory and then two like OVW, something like that.
Yeah, and if you didn't know, the wrestling show on Netflix is about OVW. What are you munching on over there, by the way? You got me hungry over here.
My favorite gum, Trident Vibe.
You always have that. The Sour Patch Kids one too, right?
Love it.
That's a man that knows what he likes. Let's move on over then to the WWE side of things, specifically NXT No Mercy that happened last Saturday. You got to watch it live. I was watching it live. Just like Wrestledream, though, we aren't going to get into every single match, but we will talk about the opener that happened between Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. Now, the chaos that we got from last week's NXT definitely carried over here into this match. Both these men didn't hold back one bit. I'll tell you one spot that I particularly liked was the table spot where Braun Breaker gets put through the table, but immediately gets back up like The Undertaker. I thought that was a nice touch, but overall, hard-hitting affair between these two, and Baron Corbin gets the W. How did you feel about this one opening up NXT No Mercy?
Kind of pissy because I picked Braun, so I'm like, dang it. But it feels like they're trying to make Baron Corbin something. He, changed up the entrance. I thought it was a fine match.
I'll tell you what, Baron Corbin might have some of the worst wrestling gear in the business. Like, what are we doing there? What's with the random sleeve with the pants? I don't get it.
I'm in.
Well, there's no way you're in.
I'm out. I'm not in.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Vogus, on the other hand,
never out.
Never out. He's a day one Corbin guy. So the brief distraction from Roger Stone was enough for Corbin to steal the victory in this one. Obviously, I don't think you had the time to check it out, but when I popped on SCW Steve, the wrestling channel, I talked about how I thought Von Wagner was going to get involved. So it makes sense that Stone got involved, and that can continue the feud between Braun Breaker. But I'd like to see more from Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker. I don't think this could be the end of the feud.
it was like a nice like teaser of what it could be. But just a solid opener for me.
Braun Breaker, though, I'll tell you what, and it ain't about wins and losses all the time, but that's another guy that's been stacking up a lot of losses ever since he turned heel. Yeah, just an observation. And I know it doesn't mean anything.
He could not stand and deliver, and since then he has continued to fall.
Oh yeah, we were there. Were we the kiss of death?
No.
No. Okay, we won't put the blame on us this time. But
no, we're great guys.
Great guys.
You're great.
Speaking of Braun Breaker, where the hell's Cora Jade been?
Busy.
With what?
No idea. I don't know. No clue. Yeah.
I see she's been grinding in the gym. It does look like she's put on some muscle mass.
Maybe they just sent her on a little bulk, you know?
Maybe.
All right, Jay, go get big. We'll let Tiffany and Becky go to work tonight. You're fine.
I can't wait to talk about that one. That one was so good. But overall, a very good opener there between Breaker and Corbin. But after that match, the North American title was on the line as Trick Williams found a way to pull off the upset and dethrone Dirty Dom for the title. And a lot of people seem to be surprised about this one. But personally, I originally thought that Mustafa Ali was going to win because he was the one that was, originally supposed to face off against Dom here. And then after I saw Trick Williams become the new number one contender on NXT, I just had a feeling they were going to strike while the iron's hot and put the strap on Trick Williams. I know you don't get the opportunity probably to watch NXT live every single week, but you obviously are keeping up with things. Trick Williams, man, this is a guy who for a while was just kind of the background player, the sidekick to Carmelo Hayes, but I think he's actually emerging to be a star in NXT.
Well, he's always had the body for it. Like I was under the impression that they were holding him back to hold him back, not like he couldn't go. He's always been very physical. The crowd is behind him. I went with Dom so Judgment Day could keep the gold, and thinking that Ali was going to win. And then they released the dude that was going to win the title. So let's just let Dom cook with it a little bit longer until we set a program. But this, it's like a little bit of an upset or like a little bit of a surprise, but also not crazy. And I'm excited to see what Trick will do with that.
I am too. And it's going to be interesting to see what goes forward between Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, because we obviously know Carmelo did not successfully retain his title. So that story going forward is going to be great stuff. But the whoop that Trick chance, that's fantastic. The music's great. And I think the Booker T ad-libs just give it that chef's kiss. I know some people don't like Booker T, but man, he is very entertaining on commentary for me.
No Mercy felt a little bit like he knew he was a meme, though. Like sometimes some of the stuff overstayed its welcome a little bit, but we started off with no bread, no water, just meat, and I was in. So I am a Booker T fan. I'd rather have too much than too little.
Yeah, for sure. And he's got the shucky ducky quack quack. That's a great one. The ad libs there with the Trick Willie, and then I think he says something about Cholula Green when he's talking about Tiffany Stratton because he gets distracted, as we all do. It's Tiffany Stratton.
Very married, very happy.
Wife's very pregnant.
She's starting to show. It's awesome.
That's good. That's cool. So yeah, I don't think I did have another thing with Dragon Lee's involvement. Usually I'm not a big fan of special guest referees. Typically it doesn't add much, but I thought it took this one to another level. I think Dragon Lee and Dom might have something going for the future.
I'm here for it. And it felt like Dragon Lee cared about rules. And I would prefer that in a referee instead of the like chicken shit heels that become the refs. So shout out to Dragon Lee.
You're starting a wrestling company, OTM Wrestling, even though that's a tag team in NXT already. Who are you picking as your referee? Aubrey Edwards or Dragon Lee?
Dragon Lee by a million.
You're telling me you're not in on Aubrey Edwards?
No, dude, I've seen her like intentionally wipe someone's blood on her shirt just to have a ref shirt with blood on it. like go get some and like come on. It's weird.
There's no one chasing the hug in the referee business like Aubrey Edwards.
Chasing the hug. I love it.
Yeah. So let's go then to the two main events. We'll skip over a few matches here. I don't want to, keep rambling on because we still got to talk about Fastlane, but we do have a brand new NXT champion as Ilya Dragunov was able to pin Carmelo Hayes. It was most definitely another match of the year candidate between these two. And it's really incredible to talk how strong the chemistry is between Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes. I think this is a feud, one of those feuds that can just carry over to the main roster and they will never skip a beat. The chemistry is just incredible.
The only thing they're going to do is just put asses in seats with these matches, and right now it's not overplayed yet. I loved Carmelo's entrance with the jerseys. I think that's awesome. And man, it felt important to Dragunov, and that's what you want in that's what I love to see in a champion, that like it matters. It was a great match, one of my match of the year candidates. Basically, my list is just whatever you put on your list, and then I pick the one that I like. To be clear, but I really enjoyed this one. I was super looking forward to it, and I said, Becky and Tiffany, you have your hands full now, ladies. Good luck, and
they delivered too, obviously. But when I saw that match was going on before the ladies, I was, totally expecting Becky to retain. So I was thinking that maybe Carmelo's going to retain as well. I don't know. My mind was going crazy during this because there were a lot of near falls. And the thing about Ilya Dragunov, and you talked about how, he just feels important. I think he's just a very believable character. And it might not even be a character because, the intensity that he brings to NXT is different level stuff. I think he should run with this title for a lengthy run. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm here for it. The next time we see Dragunov drop the title, he's up.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion. And let him run with it for a year. Let him be a dog. Let him be the dude. Because he is a great bout machine, like Kenny. You know what you're getting with Ilya. So I love it.
I think Dragunov's creeping up into my top favorite wrestlers. I mean, there's no one like him.
I drafted him. So, I claim the rights to him. That I've seen this.
I love it. Last year,
it was 2 years ago. It's been a minute.
So we might have to bring it back, is what you're saying.
I can go find it. Let me see.
Battle of the Brands or something like that. Where it was me, Tuck, and Erica, and I think I even recorded that from my parents' house because I was dog sitting, and then we drafted.
It was last year, May of 2022. Last year. So it's been 17 months.
We can give it some time and then reevaluate. When there's a slower week, and this is not a slow week. So let's just move on then to the main event of NXT No Mercy, where Becky Lynch retained her title in an Extreme Rules match against Tiffany Stratton. And once again, another incredible match, another match of the year candidate, in my opinion. And even though Tiffany Stratton didn't get her title back, I feel like her stock is higher than any other female in NXT. There is no one like Tiffany Stratton right now, Tuck.
Yeah, she's real. And I was not a fan of the Barbie girl style gimmick. And again, she's not that much different, but she's got energy and attitude about her. Like she thinks she's like a great wrestler and not just like daddy's money kind of. So.
And it looks effortless. She's kind of like Io Sky in a way, where just the moves are just so easy to her. And it's crazy that she's been doing this for 2 years. But the match itself, obviously Extreme Rules makes any match more interesting. But would you consider this another match of the year candidate? Did it wet your whistle, I guess I should say?
Yes. It'll be a nominee or a candidate. I did not put it in my ranking ahead of Charlotte and Rhea.
Yeah, if you're comparing apples to oranges there, that's a tough one because Rhea and Charlotte definitely put on one of the best women's matches that we ever seen. But I don't think it's a crazy take to say that that's probably one of the best NXT women's matches of all time.
Oh, yeah. Put it up there. I agree.
And having Becky Lynch down in NXT is only going to help other talent because now You have Tegan Knox, who's apparently going to be stepping up against Becky Lynch whenever she comes back from injury and whenever she gets cleared. Because I don't know if you saw, they showed it on Monday Night Raw. She got gashed in that match. That was bad.
11 stitches, no doubt. Yeah.
Which I did not know. So credit to her and credit to Tiffany for putting on such an incredible match. I'm excited to see who Becky's going to be facing. Obviously, NXT is going on right now as we're recording it. So maybe we will find out when we rewatch NXT this week to see what the direction is for a lot of these matches. But overall, NXT No Mercy, I thought it felt similar to the black and gold takeovers. I feel like we're sort of creeping back into that territory. I know I've said it numerous times. NXT, for me, my favorite weekly show right now. But for you, NXT No Mercy, what letter grade we giving this show?
90. And that's a touch higher than my Wrestledream score, to be clear. I liked it. I liked it better. And I think, I saw it live. I had opinions live, so I think that influences it a little bit.
Do you think the shorter show influences it well for you?
Not because it was shorter, but because it was shorter and all the matches were good. Like Baron Corbin and Braun was probably the worst match on the card, and it wasn't a bad match.
I thought, and I talked about this a little bit on social media as well. I mean, the cup matches for me are kind of confusing. Obviously, Dar and Butch put on a good one, but for me, that probably was my least favorite. But even the tag team match was pretty good. I know we didn't talk about it, but I thought that was solid. It
was. Yeah, and I think the right team won.
Yeah, I do too. And I'd like to see the Creed brothers maybe get the call up soon because I think they've accomplished everything and they're ready for the main roster. But I'm going to disagree with you when it comes to saying that No Mercy was better than Wrestledream. Surprisingly, I'm going to say AEW had the better show, but a slight edge. I gave Wrestledream a 92. I would probably give NXT No Mercy a 91, a 90, or an 89. I feel like we got two incredible shows, and then you followed up with Monday Night Raw, which the back half was pretty good. Of course, my boy Johnny Gargano's back. I'm happy about that.
Oh, and his Rebel Heart is ready to go. I'm excited for it too. I still have to catch up on some of Raw. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't miss much in the first half. So if you want to fast forward that, go for it.
Got it.
Guest. So let's finish things off here. We're about 52 minutes in, so we still got some time and talk about Fastlane. That's happening this Saturday in Indianapolis, Indiana, only a 2-hour drive away from my place. I tried to go, but like I said, did I say it on the podcast? I might have said it before the show, but I got a wedding this week, so I will not be able to go to Fastlane. I feel like I've gone to every indie pay-per-view, so this one's going to be tough for me to miss, but we did talk about this before we started recording. Our Fastlane predictions are strictly going to be between 5 people because there was a 5-way tie for the OTM title. So unfortunately, not everybody's going to participate, but still don't let that stop you. If you're watching this back or listening, tweet at us, leave it in the comment section. Give us your picks for Fastlane. On a scale of 1 to 10, though, Tuck, how you feeling for this B-level show?
About a 5.
That's not great.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch. That's fine. It's something to do on Saturday, sure. And it'll probably end up being a good show. That's about it.
It usually is. And I think the card right now, at least from what I've seen, is only 5 matches. I'm sure they can add 1 or 2 by then, but we do know it probably will be a shorter show, probably right under 3 hours, which to me is an easy watch. So let's get into it here. We don't have a champion's advantage, so I don't really care who goes first. But the first match I want to talk about is the LWO taking on Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. I know you want the smoke, Tuck, so I'm assuming you are going to lean with your boys, the Street Profits, in this one.
And so are you, right? You have to.
Do you?
New faction, you got to establish them.
So that's your pick.
There's not a dude in LWO that I think could beat anybody in the Street Profits or Bobby Lashley, tank unit.
Not even Ray?
No.
The U.S. champion.
Yeah.
I know. And
maybe Ray could beat Angelo Dawkins, but I'm not convinced because Angelo Dawkins is on the rise too. Bobby and the Street Profits by a million.
I am going to agree with you. I just wanted to play devil's advocate for a little bit. It has to be Bobby and the Street Profits. You know, you can tell that they are building to something with those guys. I think it's highly entertaining stuff, but I think the whole NW or LWO thing is interesting because they haven't named the 3 participants quite yet. I honestly think it might be Joaquin Wild, Toro, and Ray. And that's how you keep getting dissension between Santos and Ray. And say Ray loses the match for the team, Santos starts to kind of question if Ray's a good enough leader. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, but you could put Santos in that 3 and have Ray cost, or have Santos be the one that loses and bury that little thing too, if you wanted to. I kind of like Santos doing a great job and holding his own and kind of building an argument further. But
yeah, that honestly, now that you say that, it probably makes more sense. I think they're trying to make Santos look more credible. But I did see some fantasy booking stuff. I follow some dude on TikTok. I honestly do not know his name. It just popped up. But he has a thought of the Street Profits potentially taking out the tag team in LWO, and that they'll be left needing a third partner, and that maybe the third partner could be Carlito, because Carlito is under contract with the WWE. And then you can have Carlito be involved in the LWO as well. I think that would be something fun.
That would be interesting. And I was thinking, just kind of off the jump here, like a Santos run-in to save the day in some form or fashion, where he's like, you guys only won because of me, or something like that. But either way, there's a few things that could come out of here, and hopefully it makes LWO a little more compelling to me. I'm not super bought in yet.
I agree with you. I'm not super bought into the LWO either. I mean, they're obviously on TV often, but I feel like they haven't picked up credible wins, and I don't see it starting here at Fastlane. I'm also going with Bobby and the Street Profits. So that's a sweep for OTM. Let's move on to another tag team match. This for the tag team titles, the Judgment Day, which is Finn Balor and Damian Priest, taking on the makeshift team of Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. And when I saw that announced on Monday Night Raw Talk, I immediately just assumed they needed to get Cody and Jey on the card. Might as well make a tag team out of them. But you have all these legit tag teams. It kind of pisses me off. Those guys aren't getting a shot. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a good match. I don't see the Judgment Day losing. It really wouldn't make sense to put it on Cody and Jey Uso.
But how, did they get screwed? Well, JD McDonough fought Cody Rhodes in a street fight at the house show.
And they still haven't fully accepted JD yet.
Is this how he gets in? That it just sucks that Cody and Jey, like, they're big program guys. You know,
they are. I mean, they're top of the food chain, at least on the babyface side of things for WWE. But I like the JD involvement. Yeah.
Is JD on the fast lane to the Judgment Day? Like, is Fastlane the reason he's in? Will he be a member of the Judgment Day on Monday Night Raw next week?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
What about you? You saying yes as well?
No.
I liked your booking so much. I think I just said yes.
Survivor Series, maybe.
Yeah, you could set something up.
You got the teamish thing, or like he gets in now, and they build their team for Survivor Series. Kind of a long stretch to Survivor Series. Early October to end of November.
I think Crown Jewel sandwiched in there, though. I think they are doing another Crown Jewel show, so there is something. And honestly, lately, I would say Crown Jewel shows have been pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're both going with Judgment Day then, correct?
Yep.
Alrighty. So yeah, I mean, the good thing about like pay-per-views like Fastlane, those B-level PLEs, is that, like you said, it could just lead to more storytelling, and I think that's basically what we're going to get here out of this match. But yeah, I think the Judgment Day is definitely retaining here. So we got 3 more matches to talk about. This one for the women's title, Io Sky taking on Charlotte Flair, taking on Asuka in a triple threat. I'm very excited for this one. I mean, these are 3 of the most talented women in wrestling. You get to go first, though, for this one.
This one's tough. This is not by any means an easy pick. I'm looking at the WWE website right now to see when the Saudi show is, and I don't see it yet. But
maybe I'm making it up.
I don't think you are, because I just read an article saying November, but when? November.
Yeah, we need dates.
Yeah, is the question. But this is a tough one. I'm going to go with EO to retain here, because I don't have a good sense of which direction it's going to go. So I'm just going to like go chalk here and hope it plays out for me.
It does seem like a chalky card too, which could be a problem for our predictions contest. So maybe we should start thinking of a tiebreaker situation, maybe power ranking the matches by confidence or something like that we could do for this one time only. But I don't think you can ever count out Charlotte Flair. You know how many times we've seen Charlotte just win the title just because it's Charlotte. And eventually I feel like Charlotte is going to be getting the title once again, because that's just who she is. She's a champion. But I do think when Io does end up losing that title, it's going to be because of Bayley. I think Bayley's got to do something to cost Io. I just don't think that's happening at Fastlane. I think they're going to wait a little bit on that. So I'm also going with Io Sky. Unfortunately for the Asuka fans, I think she has no shot of winning. I think it'd be very weird if she won. Like, where do you go with Asuka after that? Do you just revisit the Io stuff? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, weird.
So we're going to both go with Io Sky to retain the women's title. So we have two more matches to talk about. This one is going to be a fun one. You have John Cena teaming up with LA Knight. Yeah. Taking on the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. I will say this right now. I think this might be the toughest match to call here for Fastlane.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Because obviously the Bloodline could use a win. But on the other side of things, you have the greatest of all time, John Cena, with the hottest superstar that's getting mega pops because he's a mega star, LA Knight. Is it my turn to go first?
Yes, I went first with the ladies' match.
Fuck. All right, this is going to be the match that might lose the contest for me, but I think I'm going to go with the Bloodline. I think I'm siding with Solo and Jimmy Uso just to show that there is still strength in the Bloodline without Roman Reigns. We know Roman eventually is going to have to come back, but I think Jimmy's got to stack up a win here. I don't know how they lose. I'm talking about Cena and Knight. Maybe Cena, is the one that takes the loss here, because I don't think LA Knight needs a loss on his record. But for some reason, something's telling me Solo and Jimmy. I'm just going to go with my gut here, Tuck. I don't know about you.
I was going to say the same thing.
Really?
I see this as a way to get LA Knight into a program with somebody in the Bloodline, and it could be Roman Reigns. Roman comes in, interferes, does something. Wouldn't LA Knight versus Roman Reigns be a good crown jewel title match? Something like that, like Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns in Saudi. Like, it is what it is.
So it would be, but I kind of worry it might be too much too soon. I don't think I want LA Knight in the major title feud right now.
I share the same worry with that, but I don't know what kind of value you have in Cena and Knight winning, like further kind of destroying the Bloodline. Is that where you're going? I'm not sure.
They could be going in that direction. They could be, Roman comes back because the guys just can't get it done without him. That makes a lot of sense.
Jey Uso is going to be in the building too. Don't forget that.
Also true. Maybe he gets involved in some way. I don't know. I'm excited for it. The fact that John Cena even sold the reaction of LA Knight coming out to sign the contract, I think was telling of the WWE's desire to push LA Knight right now. It's just, man, I hope it's not too much too soon and then the fans turn on him, because then I think that's when you ruin LA Knight.
I agree. And I do warrant the caution of like thrusting him into that title scene. What do you do with him after? We'll see how it goes. Should be
especially
fun.
if he loses. It will be fun. I think the show as a whole will be fun. I think the main event will be too. I don't know if it's the main event, but I'm assuming it is. Shinsuke Nakamura challenging Seth Rollins in a last man standing match. Now, you get to go first here, but I do want to ask you this. For me personally, the Seth Rollins title reign has been pretty meh. I would be okay with him dropping the title. I want to hear your thoughts, though. Do you think it's time to pull the trigger?
I'm going with Shinsuke. I went with him last time too. I want him to have the title and see how it goes because the Seth run has been fine. It is what it is. Great first champion, big win, but like doesn't have a resume of banger after banger after banger. And that's what I thought we were going to get with it. And it's just been a little different. He's hurt. Let him get healthy. Let Shin go on a run with it. I'm afraid it might not happen.
We also can't forget that Senior Money in the Bank still got that briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
You think there's a possibility he can get involved there too? Maybe. It's a last man standing match, so I think outside interference is allowed.
Oh yeah. Well, there's no rules.
Have you enjoyed the story and the build for this match here at Fastlane?
Yeah, because I'm just sticking with Shinsuke.
You're a Shinsuke guy.
I don't know that the build has been phenomenal.
No, and I think that's just there's a crutch there that, these Japanese promos, obviously we have subtitles so we can see what's going on, but might be a little bit of a disconnect with the American audience. But nonetheless, Shinsuke Nakamura is a credible challenger. I just don't think Seth's losing to Shinsuke, unfortunately. Last man standing match signifies the end of the feud, in my opinion. I think if Shin wins, Rollins still has gripe to get a rematch, and I don't see that happening after last man standing. So with that thinking, I'm going with Seth Rollins to retain. I think I picked a cash-in last pay-per-view. I'm going to stay away from predicting one here, but I would not be surprised.
I thought you were going to say, I'm going right back to it. We're going to go cash in every PLE.
Every PLE. It's got to hit once, right?
Yeah.
And then it happens on Raw, and then on Raw. But maybe that's what happens here. Maybe he retains his title Saturday and gets cashed in on Raw because he's beat up. Could be something. But yeah, I'm going to go with Seth Rollins to retain, which that concludes our Fastlane predictions. Tucky, we got in and out in an hour and 7 minutes. Probably the only reason we did that is because we weren't live. So I apologize to the people that do look forward to the live shows. It just wasn't possible this week, but we made it happen, and that's all that matters, right, Tuck?
Yeah, we do make it happen. I have the WWE site pulled up. If you're interested, there's a meet and greet with Bailey on Friday, October 6th. So maybe you just skip that wedding from your best friend and then drive to St. Louis and meet Bailey for free.
The wedding that I'm standing in, yeah, I'm sure he'll be cool with that, right?
If he's your real friend, he'll understand.
Yeah. The funny story is here too. Aaron and I's friendship. Obviously, people don't know who Aaron is, but it's the guy's wedding. Me and him were like, that was my first friend that watched wrestling. Like in college, me and Aaron would watch pay-per-views. We would watch Raw together. We would go to events. My very first pay-per-view was with Aaron at Survivor Series when the Shield debuted. So it is kind of funny that, wrestling weekends happening. Aaron's getting married, but we have ties to wrestling. It's kind of a weird scenario right there. But yeah, Tucky, episode 164 seems to be in the books. Obviously, no MVM this week. So Kine retains by default.
Congrats, Kine. I'm sure Ian's going to love to hear that.
He's got no choice. That's what happens when you pre-record an episode. But I think that's all we got for him, Tucky. Why don't you send us home?
On the markwrestlingpodcast.com. Okay, the show's about to wrap up. You, listener, you have a minute or two on the markwrestlingpodcast.com. Pick out something you like, or 17 different items. Christmas is coming up. Let's get weird. Hoodie season is upon us. Thank God we have no pumpkin spice anything on the markwrestlingpodcast.com. We do apologize for that. But
I did have a pumpkin cold brew today, by the way. Big pumpkin guy.
I had a pumpkin cold brew yesterday. I felt or Sunday.
We and you are so back. We are so back. The chemistry is so back.
We're doing it. We're here. What's that? What's that promo code for Fastlane? By the way, is it Fastlane?
Promo code just Fastlane. You see it down there right now at the bottom of the ticker.
Use code Fastlane all weekend, 10% off. Don't forget to visit at main_event_net for the Main Event Wrestling Network, which we are a proud partner and contributor to, along with a number of other people. And if you're interested in creating wrestling content and joining a pro wrestling creative content community, pro wrestling,
I like that.
yeah, you're welcome. You can use that for free. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. We just come off of 2 great shows. We got another great show coming up, and then we head towards Survivor Series, which always has that different kind of energy.
It's gonna be a weird time. Yeah, it's gonna be a weird time.
Yeah, it goes. They have not announced War Games for it yet, have they?
No, they have not, and I don't think they're going to. I think the rumor is that it will not be happening.
Those freaking stinkers. They should do that because I like War Games personally. But until next time, next week, I don't know if I'll be here. Might have baseball. We might have to figure it out. Cross country season, baseball season, busy season. So we'll see how it goes.
That's why we got 3 of us, though, right?
Yeah, that's why we've got the trifecta here. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling podcast.